Well, National Milk Records is looking forward to 2011 now that it's got a major hurdle behind it. Well, let's talk about the outlook with the company's finance director, that is Chris Hughes. Chris, thanks very much indeed for joining us today. Before we get on to this restructuring that I mentioned there in the introduction, let's talk about what National Milk Records actually does and with the main part of the company, National Milk Records itself.
Okay, well, National Milk Records was a service provided by the Milk Marketing Board, collecting information and data from dairy farmers, analysing that and feeding that back as information that enables the farmers to make decisions as how best to manage their herd. It's still the service that underpins our business now that we're a PLC. So effectively it's a service of choice for dairy farmers to use to gain information that gives them an advantage in terms of driving efficiency into their business.
Okay, so but that's not all now, because you developed it and you've also got National Milk Laboratories. What's that all about?
Well, National Milk Laboratories is a subsidiary set up in 2004-2005, which actually tests the milk on behalf of the milk buyers, the dairy companies that provide the milk that's bought by the public in the retail outlets such as supermarkets. So it's, in a way, it's the other side of the fence, because the farmers are having their milk tested to make sure it's of the right quality for the milk buyers to pay premiums or not to penalise them for deficiencies in the milk, whereas the milk buyers are having that milk tested to make sure it's suitable and of good enough quality to sell to the public.
Okay, and you've then developed that as well, because you've now got National Livestock Records, and that's presumably building on the expertise you've already got.
It is building on the expertise, the fact that we've got a large presence in the rural areas of the country, the fact that we've got excellence in database management that's recognised by such people as DEFRA, etc., and the fact that as with the dairy industry, the sheep industry and the red meat industry is going to need more and more efficiency and more traceability in its products, and we're well placed to be part of that.
And you're introducing yet more services under that label. Silent herdsman, for example, you've got services coming up in Ireland.
Yeah, well, they're different things. It's not so much the livestock label that Silent Herdsman comes into. That is, in fact, back to the dairy industry. Silent Herdsman is second-generation technology developed by Strathclyde University, which provides a collar for the farmer to put on selected cows and will predict very accurately when that cow will be coming to heat, enable that farmer to increase his fertility, which will be a huge advantage to the industry. It's a very exciting product. It's in the early stages of distribution, but we're looking forward to a very good future with that product. Ear tags we distribute through our livestock arm, National Livestock Records. It's a small consumable subsidiary. We should be doing better with that, and we intend to. It's effectively a consumable that's of value to the farmers that we think we can provide a good service with.
How do the three businesses effectively stack up at the moment then, in terms of percentage terms and where the growth is going to come from?
The lion's share of the business is still in our core service, providing information to dairy farmers, and I think it always will be. Silent Herdsman actually has some very exciting projected figures attached to it, and potentially huge market including abroad. There is a huge industry, a dairy industry in Ireland. It's as big as the UK dairy industry. It's perhaps a little bit less sophisticated, and we're quite well positioned to start the ball rolling over there with the payment testing business to one or two dairy companies that have agreed to come along with us, and who knows how far we can expand into taking over perhaps the bulk of the testing in Ireland. That's something that we would certainly look to do in say 2 or 3 years' time. Ireland, I think, could be pretty big for us. It's a joint venture. It looks like it could well have something like a 3 or 4 million turnover, which is similar to the NMR turnover in the UK. Silent Herdsman, well, potentially huge. It could have a 5 million turnover. So this will significantly add to the turnover and the profit and the cash generation of the NMR group.
Well, speaking of numbers, back in November you upped your first half pre-tax profit to what, £457,000. Full year 09 profit was 500,000. So you haven't got very far to go. So what are the targets now? What should we pin your hopes to?
Well, it's a little bit complicated by the fact that our accounts are distorted by what happens with FRS 17, where we have to account for a final salary pension scheme, which is closed for future accrual, but still has gains and losses every year with the valuation that we have to do. Pretty much we're running at £500,000 trading profit, and that's the figure I bandy about, and we're looking to increase that in the next 3 or 4 years to over £1 million. There's a lot of depreciation and amortization of goodwill in that figure as well, so it's cash generation that we're really keen to expand on, and that's already at well over 1 million, and we're looking to maybe for that to be 2 or 3 million in 3 or 4 years' time.
Okay, so those are the targets. Now, the major hurdle that I referred to obviously was this capital restructuring, which is now out of the way. And you now say you have a pool of credible and significant investors who share the management's view that your company shares are undervalued.
Yes, I'm very proud actually of both achieving the consolidation to reduce our share register from 24,500 shareholders down to less than 7,000. And I'm proud of the people that have come on board, because these are savvy investors and they're not here out of any kind of patronage. They can see that our share price is undervalued, and I think they're going to help us try and attract attention to that, gain investor interest perhaps from smaller investors, and start seeing that price move up on the market.
So speaking of which then, so what is the final message to investors? What sort of get in now and watch this space?
The message to investors is consider us on the plus markets as part of your portfolio of investments. Clearly we're undervalued. You can see from our figures of EBITDA, turnover and profit that's the case. Contact me if you like, find out more about our business. We're very open with our plans and what we're doing. We'd be delighted to talk to you, but we certainly think a package of NMR shares is a good long-term investment.
Okay, Chris Hughes, thanks very much indeed for joining us today.
Thank you.
This film is for educational and leisure purposes only. Proactive Investors does not provide investment advice. The company is a publisher and is not registered with or authorized by the Financial Services Authority. Please refer to the full terms and conditions on the Proactive Investors website.